Okay. Can you see everything? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, good evening, everyone. First of all, I really appreciate that I really appreciate to be here with you guys and to present some of my knowledge and experiences on movement and musculoskeletal discomforts. Yeah, who am I? My name is Nicolai Stempel, and I'm a physiotherapist from Germany. I got in connection with Osama almost 1 year ago when he hit me up on my Instagram because he got aware of the work I'm doing nationally and internationally with my colleagues at Fusion 5 Performance. At Fusion 5, we are a team of athletic trainers, mental coaches, nutritionists, and physiotherapists, and we all share one goal: to take you to the next level. And we want to unlock undiscovered potential, strengthen you after an injury, and at the same time minimize the risk for future injury. We are sure that we will accomplish this goal with you by applying our 5 pillars of optimal health and performance. That's why we are called Fusion 5. And these pillars consist of therapy. We try to improve the capacity of your physical structures and try to restore the right functions. For training, where we try to optimize functional movements to support the needs of your life. The mental coaching part, where our coaches try to align the subconscious and conscious goals with one another for mental focus on success. Our nutrition coaches, our nutritionists, they try to support your body with the right nutrients and try to teach you how to recover and perform better with foods. And we try to specifically try to put a focus on whole foods and mainly plant-based diets. And our fifth pillar is the biohacking. We try to use technology like a crow sauna, for example, as well as building daily routines with our athletes, including breathing techniques, cold showers, and meditations. I personally became a physiotherapist because I wanted to help and to guideline human beings to become the best version of themselves, and whatever this might be, from the goal from achieving high performance in sports or business to living a healthy, active, and pain-free life with your family. And I believe in the self-efficacy in every single person I meet. The gap between the demands of the human body and the capacity becomes bigger and bigger. And therefore, many people get out of balance and develop acute and/or chronic aches and pain. Now, I want to provide guidance and will outline some possibilities how to start with this for yourself. My expertise within the therapy and the rehabilitative processes. And in the last years, I've spent a huge amount of time working with athletes on national and international level. And I started over at the Football Youth Academy for Fortuna Düsseldorf in the under 19th and the second team, where my job was to make sure that all the injured players got fit as soon as possible. And I escorted the teams to the games all over Germany. And we had exciting trips. So like you can see here on the pictures, we've been to over there in Canada. Then I went with my Fusion 5 team to Ibiza last year, where we had a summer camp to get all the athletes fit for the upcoming season. At the same time, I started at Fortuna Düsseldorf. I started working with Fusion 5. And like I just said, we try to focus onto the individualized approach to optimize health and performance of pro athletes. And as part of this, I work on almost a daily basis with football pros from the Bundesliga, Premier League, the Super League, as well as Olympic athletes from field hockey, badminton, and many other sports. But since 2019, I abandoned my additional work at Fortuna Düsseldorf and now joined the field hockey team, which are currently the 2 times defending German champion. And we're looking forward to get the next title next year. Initially, Osama and I had the idea of me coming over to Kuwait this year to present some of our work and build up overseas relationships for optimal health. But as all of us know, in the first quarter of this year, this tricky thing called COVID-19 got a little bit out of hand and changed our lives since then. Therefore, I hope all of you guys watching are healthy and safe, and I'll be happy to add some value to your evening today. So quick overview. I'm going to talk about the challenges in work life, ergonomics, posture, the term prehab, and give you some practicals at the end. And yeah, the challenges in work life, the status quo is that we have increasing demands. Productivity and efficiency are omnipresent, and almost everyone in modern life can sense this during work. We have a 24/7 availability, which especially by the invention of the internet a few years ago, and quick and affordable international travel revolutionized the way how work can be done. And virtually every service and information is available no matter the day or time, which has a huge advantage in medicine, business, and private life, of course. But apart from this, it also sets many of us in a state of constant alertness. At least I feel it like this. And yeah, this modern lifestyle leads to a maladjusted work-life balance that many of us, I think, experience. So I want to talk a little bit about potential stressors. I have like 3 big subgroups: the environmental influences, which could be something simple like just an air conditioner or artificial light, which our bodies are constantly exposed to, which is stressing our body, as well as the physical stress to the musculoskeletal system, with things like long and steady standing or sitting, which is a risk factor for developing musculoskeletal aches and pain, like Dr. Salmon just pointed out. During surgery, for example, the people have to stand a lot, sit a lot, stay in static positions, and this can be a risk factor. As well as lifting or carrying can increase the chance for injury, especially if the individual is not used to it or just unprepared. Then we have the mental stressors, like long day and night shifts and the absence of adequate breaks seem to have to become the new normal and have a huge impact on performance and accuracy during work. The consequences are insufficient nutrient supply. When there's less time available during work for breaks, the intake of food and hydration will suffer. A mild hydration can already lead to poor concentration, lack of concentration, increased reaction time, short-term memory problems, and headaches and more. And this is definitely not something that we want to have. As well, high stress on the immune system. When the human body is exposed to stressors that chronically triggers the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for fight or flight mode, the immune system could take a hit, resulting in higher chances for physical and psychological illnesses. Regarding mental stress and nutrition, there are 2 upcoming lectures in the next few weeks, which I'm really looking forward to. And I just continue. Okay, to start off a little bit more general, I would like to present some statistic from the overall population. I guess almost everyone here will be aware of the fact that low back pain is the most common musculoskeletal condition worldwide, with almost 85% of adults suffering from low back pain at some point in their life. And furthermore, low back pain is a huge cost factor to the healthcare systems, costing Americans almost $50 billion each year. And this is high in high relevance as well to the productivity and efficiency in companies. To be a little bit more specific, I would like to lay out some numbers. Dr. Simon just pointed out from his study. I took his study for this numbers and statistics. And he was able to show the high prevalence of musculoskeletal pain in surgeons, especially bariatric surgeons. And I think I can skip this now. Okay, another paper highlighted the 12-month pain prevalence of musculoskeletal disorders of healthcare providers and was able to show similar risks in developing musculoskeletal pain like high-risk laborers. But not only healthcare professionals suffer pain and strain during work, also up to 75% of people working in other jobs like office employees experience acute pain or chronic pain. Moreover, I can tell you from my experience with pro athletes that they also suffer from pain and aches. Now you could think of course, during and post high intensity sport, there's a high chance for developing some discomforts. But what if I tell you that I had to figure out that a high percentage of my athletes presenting with low back or neck pain developed this during doing nothing. Especially football players tend to have a little bit like a schedule which has a lot of time off, approximately 6 to 8 hours a day. And they like to spend a lot of this time on their mobile phones, the PlayStation or the TV. So basically they have days that are comparable to the ones of office employees regarding the amount of time spent sitting in unfavorable positions. So in consequence, they are also in risk for missing out days at work or injuring themselves more badly as a result of high impact during a game on top of the already ailing condition. Okay, ergonomics. Let's be a little bit now more precisely about this. The definition I found with the scientific ergonomics is a scientific study of people and their working conditions, especially done in order to improve effectiveness. Yeah, and here we can see two images of almost perfect ergonomics, like Dr. Salman showed in his slides as well. And therefore, I think I can skip this again. And here we have some bad examples of ergonomics. There's some two surgeons in action and an office employee sitting at his desk in not the very best ergonomic positioning. And yeah, I think this classic round back forward head working posture, almost every one of you watching, even me, caught themselves in accidentally. And it could be argued that this position stresses the dorsal ligaments and the muscles of the thoracic and cervical spine. But this position, or in general positions like this, aren't that bad in the first run. So you don't have your worries. There's no need to stress out if any one of you see themselves in that kind of posture now or remembers themselves being in that posture, because biomechanical abnormalities are actually normal. There are a lot of papers, especially on the topic of non-specific back pain in correlation to posture and movement. Latest research indicates that we might consider what we might consider as a poor posture or unhealthy posture is not related to pain and disability. What seems to be of much greater importance is the amount of overall movement behavior. So now you have to reflect on yourself, how much and in how many ways and forms you move each day. In the following, I have an example that might look shocking for the one another, but yeah, again, you don't need to stress out. Luckily, the human body is amazingly adaptable and can resist crazy amount of forces, especially when the load exposure is stretched over a longer period of time. This is what we call training effect. So it's not too late for you to change something and start with moving and consciously control your body more often. Otherwise, pictures like the one you're seeing here wouldn't be possible without injury, despite this picture is definitely not labeled ergonomic. We can see here is he's a power lifter, one of the strongest power lifters of all times. Lamar, that's his name. He was able to lift more than 5 times his body weight. And yeah, I think this is pretty impressive. Okay, conclusively, what can we say? I think ergonomics make work more efficient and safe, but education is crucial on how to behave within the ergonomic adjustments. Ergonomic settings are not a mandatory need to work efficient and pain-free, but can also be a potential risk factor for decreasing self-awareness. When you rely on the ergonomic adjustments, I think the one or another won't think about what he's doing with his body in the special situation. Development of high-tech like exoskeletons could be a future game changer for those professionals which are in need for ergonomic settings, but yet a universal implementation of this is difficult. And you can see a surgeon with an exoskeleton which provides some support to his muscle, to the posture, and relieves muscle from excessive stress during work. Okay. Now, talking about posture. Posture is the way in which someone usually holds their body, shoulders, neck, and back, or a particular position in which someone stands or sits. Then there's the question, is there a perfect posture? If yes, how should it look like? When you simply Google perfect posture, you'll immediately find images like the ones you can see here. But yeah, where do these beliefs come from? That this actually, that this is the perfect posture. Maybe it's due to always being told to sit and stand up straight and not to slouch by our parents from an early age on. Because of those beliefs, there are quite some questionable products you can spend your money on when you're around in the internet. For example, like these posture trainers. These products aim to push the body passively into the position that is considered as correct, and you just strap them on like a backpack and then hope for a miraculously thing to happen, that the girdles correct your body into an upright torso position. Humans are always looking for shortcuts with minimal effort, and yeah, luckily the body does not work like this and needs more than an external input to adapt. The human body works with the principle of use it or lose it. So this is something I'm confronted with on almost a daily basis in therapy. For example, if someone calls for my advice because of back pain, and they tell me that they've been experiencing this pain after lifting heavy during house moving. My first question is always then, when did you lift heavy before the move? In 90% of the cases, the patient cannot remember when, and the procedure is then in therapy to expose the human being to the stimulus they decompensated under in small doses and empower the person to use what he learned to unuse step by step again. So adaptability to the environment is key. Research shows that there's no such thing as the perfect or correct posture, but that differences in posture are a fact of life and is actually safe to adapt more and comfortable positionings. So don't feel bad if you just slouch during this lecture. Okay, posture. To ensure that the body is adaptable to its environment, what I just stated, is that the body needs to have certain capabilities. The body needs to have sufficient range of motion or flexibility for the task that needs to be done. Adequate control and coordination within the flexibility is needed as well. Enough stability and strength to control the range of motion in a repetitive way and to perform demanding tasks is crucial. And the fourth thing is a good body or cortical mapping. So that's why we can see the so-called homunculus. I think some of you will be aware of this. The quality of movement and the perception of certain body parts is proportionate to the quality and size of the motor sensory maps of that body part. You can see this, like I said, in the homunculus, where different body parts are represented in certain areas in the brain. Here you have the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And a study observed the organization of the somatosensory cortex in braille readers, so the people that read with the fingers on the paper that has some ups and downs. And it was shown that the recording of somatosensory evoked potentials in the index finger of braille readers compared to non-readers while using the reading finger was significantly larger. So findings like these let us suggest that if you have a very detailed map of certain areas, you can perceive and move those areas with precision. If the map is less trained or perceived blurry, the movement quality and sensation will suffer. Further evidence for the importance of cortical mapping can be found in chronic pain patients, especially low back pain patients suffer reduced tactile acuity in the affected area, which is linked to somatosensory cortex modulation. So let's jump to the topic of prehab. Prehab is a concept employed by sports physiotherapists around the world with one simple goal: to prevent injuries. But it is also a form of personalized risk assessment and exercise protocols designed to train the athlete to their maximum potential while reducing the chances of any unwanted injuries, with potentially cost them their career span. For me personally, prehab is not ultimately limited to athletes. I see prehab as an urgent necessity for anyone, but especially for those that are undergoing ambitious lifestyles, work in demanding jobs, or simply seek to perform at their highest level every single day. Moreover, I would add the rehabilitation of recent injury and/or aches and pain, if existing, to the definition. In the following, I want to highlight the most important aspects of the two terms that prehab is composed of. First, we have the prevention. Prevention is the act of stopping something or from happening, the act of stopping something from happening or of stopping someone from doing something. Sorry for that. And when talking about prevention and how to keep somebody injury and pain-free, it is crucial to assess the individual situation first and ask, what is your body capable of and what does your body has to endure during everyday life? You need to know the factors which have an influence on the prevention goal you are shooting for. For example, when the goal is to build up muscle so you can stabilize your body for longer times during demanding tasks at your job, you have to think about what other factors have an influence on this. When you are a football pro, your job is about 60 to 180 minutes of football specific training per day. The rest of the day, you can basically do whatever you like. You can eat, sleep, and rest whenever and for how long you want to, and easily fit the prehab program into your day whenever suits your best. But when you're, for example, a physician with 8 to 10 or even 12 to 24 hours shifts, there are not many spots left during the day to fit in your program. But working hours are not the only problem. As a consequence of those well-organized working days, there are limited opportunities for getting in food and hydration, finding a rhythm for sleep, and taking care of your family. All these aspects have a huge impact on how to structure the individual's program. And basically, we can say there is no one-size-fits-all approach. As a real-life example, I can give you a story from my daily work with athletes. I've spent 24 to 72 hours with different football players multiple times, and I'll allow myself to be able to judge a little bit about their daily routines. And of course, I'm not going to drop some of the names of my athletes, but maybe you can guess some. The counterpart of the football player will be my girlfriend, who is currently in her last year of medical school during clinical rotations. An ordinary day in the life of a Brazilian football player I was working with in Newcastle looked like this. He wakes up at about 9 to 10 in the morning, then gets in some breakfast. Most times has then about 3, 4, or 5 hours of free time. Has some training in the afternoon between 3 to 5 p.m. Then dinner and leisure time from 6 p.m. onwards. Sometimes there's a second training session of 60 to 90 minutes in between, but this is maybe once or 2 times a week, so not that often. So an ordinary day in the life of my girlfriend, who's a medical student, looks like this. She wakes up at 5:45, is having breakfast at around 6:15, then went to the hospital up to 4:30. Sometimes she gets lunch in between because, like all of you know, if there's emergency, you don't have time to eat lunch. When she comes home, she's studying again, doing a thesis, some household, getting groceries or whatever. And then there's sometimes a little bit of time left for something like a prehab program, because then there's still dinner, maybe some leisure time to enjoy and calm down. And then, of course, you have to sleep. So again, a little bit more in detail to the prevention thing. Prevention can be divided in 2 parts, in the external and the internal prevention. And the external prevention mostly includes factors that you have only limited control of. Regarding sports, it could be the rigidity of the pitch, the new shoes you're wearing, or environmental influences during a game. In work life, it could be something like adjusting the heights of the operation table, the office desk, or the work gear or placement of monitors. The internal prevention focuses on your body's resilience to cope with the stress and the amount of resources that are available for any demands of life. From my experiences, I can tell you that the internal prevention should be the main form of prevention for different reasons. First of all, it is the most controllable and individual tailorable form of prevention. Individual assessments can be made with objective data like range of motion, strength, and endurance. And the individual prevention is within yourself. So you don't need to rely on technology or anything other than yourself. Second, optimization of internal prevention factors will also have a positive impact on your general quality of life. For example, if a strong lower back or great shoulder mobility is needed for your profession to excel, the strengthening of your back will also benefit you in private life. For example, playing with your kids, your dog, or just going for a spontaneous hike because you feel like it. And third, the internal prevention has long-lasting effects. If you are able to move efficient, have your body in resilient shape, and are able to cope with stress, it will have overall health benefits. Your musculoskeletal system will learn how to work proficiently, your cardiovascular system will adapt positively, and your body's ability to relax improves as well. So the second term of prehab, this is the rehabilitation, of course. You can see me on the right doing our summer camp in Ibiza, where I was working with an athlete from the Bundesliga. Rehabilitation is the process of returning to a healthy or good way of life. And when we are talking about rehabilitation, we also have to talk about injury. So how do injuries happen? And what is actually an injury? The definition that impressed me the most is the one from Dr. Andreas Spina. He's a chiropractor and the founder of Functional Range System. And he says, injury will occur when the load that acts upon the tissue exceeds the load-bearing capacity of the tissue. You can see this here. And yeah, this definition is pretty simple, but also pretty accurate. In consequence to an injury, rehabilitation processes should be started. Rehabilitation often only refers to returning to the same status that you've been in before the injury, but this would only kick off a vicious circle. Rehabilitation has to overshoot because there must have been a reason why you injured yourself. Either the load was too high or your body's tissue capacity was too low. If after an injury and rehabilitation, your life and the associated stressors are not changing, you have to be the one that changes. Otherwise, injuries will happen again and again. Already during the rehab process, progressive internal loads and stresses need to be imparted into the damaged tissue to give it information how to heal and, more importantly, how to adapt. Dr. Spina also states force is the language of cells, and it is obvious that after an injury and during rehab, we have to talk to the tissue and convince it post-healing to increase its load-bearing capacity for future injury prevention. So now coming to the practicals, maybe the thing that you've been waiting for or not, we can see. Now that we've talked about the roots of musculoskeletal complaints and why they occur, I would like to teach you some practical movements so that you can stay healthy and become your best self. The way I like to teach prehabilitative movements is with the controlled articular rotations, CARs. Controlled articular rotations are active rotational movements at the outer limits of articular motion. They can help to understand, assess, and train human movement. They also are relevant for range of motion maintenance, providing signaling for tissue remodeling to allow for maximal tissue elongation and roam maintenance. As well, we can use CARs during rehabilitation, restoring articular kinesthetic awareness, neuromuscular retraining, or try to increase passive articular strength and stability. As well, CARs are useful for articular health and longevity. For example, with cartilage. Cartilage has like bad up to no blood supply. It receives O2 and nutrition from the surrounding joint fluid by diffusion. During movement, pressure expresses fluid and waste products out of cartilage cells. When it is relieved, fluid diffuses back along with the O2 and nutrients. Coming to the executions of CARs. CARs always have to be pain-free. Execution requires high awareness, and you really need to focus on the particular movement. Conscious blocking of all the other body parts is needed to perform good quality CARs. So let's start with some examples. Feel free to join and follow my movements. And I'm always happy about feedback and how you manage to do these. So first of all, we do some CARs of the cervical spine. I just start the video. You sit down straight and do a slow and controlled movement. And it's basically all the movements you can do in the cervical spine in one. It is always important that you avoid pain, and if you feel pain, that you make the movement smaller. Follow the movement with your eyes, so when you're going around the right or the left rotation, always go the same way with your eyes. I'll repeat it again. Maintain an upright torso, stay stable with the rest of your body, and don't compensate. Oftentimes I can see that pulling up shoulders or wiggling with the rest of the spine are ways where people want to compensate. And again, if you feel pain, make the circle smaller. CARs are always important that they are pain-free. Great. Okay, up to the next example. For shoulder blades, you can do CARs as well for shoulder blades. You sit up straight again. You extend your elbows and just try to rotate your shoulder blades up on your torso. I put this in all of the slides. Slow and controlled movement, avoid pain. If you feel pain, make the movement smaller. This is the most important thing. Try to maintain a neutral head and rotate your shoulder blades. Great. I think this is not that super difficult, but I'll repeat it again. You can make a video or whatever. Great. Okay. Up onto the next one. This is a controlled articular rotation for the whole spine. And what I really, really like with the controlled articular rotations is to use them as an articular screening tool. So if you do them more often, you will exactly know how your body feels during these movements, and you can feel then in comparison to all the other dates you did a CAR for a certain joint, if there are some kind of restrictions or things that you have to work on. So I personally, I have a daily routine every single morning, and I have a routine of CARs I'm doing, and I start with a cervical spine CAR, then continue with a shoulder blade CAR, now with a whole spine CAR, and I really have a look for my body. How is it feeling today? So I can judge on how to behave, how to perform. Maybe if I can improve something for my work day, that I make it as healthy as possible through my day. Again, you flex first, rotate to the right, then do a lateral flexion, rotate again, go up into extension, rotate to the other side, then you do a lateral flexion, rotate again to the left, and then come in a flexed position, back to the front, and become upright again. Okay. Then a car for the shoulder joint. So I try to demonstrate a car for all the joints that are affected the most and oftentimes with health issues and health discomforts. With the shoulder car, it is for me personally the most complicated one to stay stable with the rest of the body and not to compensate in other body parts. A lot of people try to bend to the other side of the moving shoulder, raise up the shoulder to the ear, or try to go into a really upright position of the spine. But it's really important that you try not to change the joint positions of the other body parts. Again, the other arm is extended in the front, so you can build up some tension and only focus on the arm that is moving. You begin with a flexion as far as your joint is capable of, then internally rotate and come over an abduction, internal rotation next to your body, then go back over an extension and internal rotation, then externally rotate and come back over an abduction and flexion to the starting position. Okay, and last but not least, hip rotation car. Yeah, you have to sit down for this, so this might be not that super practical for doing in the office or in the hospital, but if you have some time left at home, you can do it. It is important when you flex forward to the right knee, in my case, that you try to feel a stretch in the muscles of your right bottom. Then you can rotate to the right and left with your spine and change into the same position just on the other side. As well, slow and controlled movement, no pain at all. Feel a light stretch. Maintain an upright torso, neutral spine as good as possible. Rotate to the left and to the right, and use your hands if needed. For some people, it is really hard to get into, even to get into the starting position. If this is the case for you, try to put a pillow under your bottom. This can make the angle for the hip rotation a little bit more comfortable. Last time, bend forward, use your hands for support, feel a light stretch. Then rotate with your spine to the right and to the left. So this is basically a combination. Yeah, you target different joints and muscle group with this one, but the hip is the main focus. And then rotate to the same position, but just on the other side. And do it again. Use your hands if needed. You can place them next to the knee or on the knee. Maintain a neutral spine. Feel a light stretch. Great. And return to the starting position. So basically, this is it. Some take-home messages for you: be adaptable to your environment, move more often, and especially have fun with it. And try also to focus on nutrition and relaxation, so you have a good of a work-life balance as possible. And yeah, if you want to reach out, you can you can send me an email, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm all over the social medias, and thank you for the opportunity to share some of my knowledge. Okay.
Thank you very much, Nicolai. That's very interesting. One thing I really was interested to hear about was the, focusing more on adaptability rather than just the correct posture or the perfect posture.
This is basically the key. It is the key for longevity.
Yes, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
We're gonna